some of the most incredible nights of my life I had in the tunnel. Word. I'm in there like, oh, shit is like the Western. Like, everybody got 2 guns on them? Oh, I bet. You heard bet. We know what we gotta do next week because everybody got 2 guns on them. Like, what's going on?
I don't know, just to get in, it seemed like you had to be thorough. Make sure you cut that line, get to the front.
Me and Jim used to always run up to the front of the door and just Debo our way through.
Everybody about to go get on this line. We about to go up in the tunnel.
Your name is?
Liz.
Where you from?
I'm Dominican and Cuban.
What borough you represent?
Uptown, Harlem World.
Jim Jones shares untold stories about the legendary New York club, The Tunnel, which was eventually shut down.
Once again, the city cracks down on clubs. And once again, the charge is drug activity. A state Supreme Court order turned out the lights in the Tunnel nightclub Friday. This after 14 people were arrested there on drug charges 2 weeks ago.
I can remember Snoop and Dr. Dre performing upwards of an hour and a half. Man. Remember Snoop and Dr. Dre, they crip. And at this time, it's heavy blood. It's blood. It's heavy blood. This might be 96. This thing started in 93. The tunnel was wall-to-wall bloods.
Yo, this is gonna be your first time performing in the tunnel, right?
I've been here a couple of times, you dig, but I mean I never performed, but you know. It's the first time for everything.
So as they performing all that chronic shit that we all love, they see a bunch of bloods going crazy, and the bloods is, as a term of endearment, they start throwing the flags on the stage. And Snoop get a little bit nervous, you dig? And I'd say maybe he wasn't nervous, but from the looks of things, there wasn't nothing they could do about it with 1,000 bloods throwing rags on the stage and shit like that in the tunnel. Like, it just was that crazy. And then he like, yo, you know, we out here on love and respect. He's like, we showing you love. Yo, Blood's like, what we doing? We showing you love. Word up. And then they continue to perform for them. That shit was a dope ass night. I'd never forget that shit. Word. I had the Flintstone iceberg on, orange joint. You did? I think I took that from Cam too, if I'm not mistaken. Might have been his shit I took out the house. It's love, but the tunnel was dope, man. Just a hell of a, everything about the tunnel, you know what I mean? And it showed who you are from the moment you walk in, your status. You dig? If you was waiting on the line, you know you was regular. If you got to park your car on the block of the tunnel, you know you was ill. You had the express line on the side and shit like that. I remember named Meach used to had a line on the side. Shout out to Jessica. Shout out to Chris Lighty, man, RP and things like that, man. Yeah, I've been going to tunnel since those days when they cracked that bitch open. Peter Gation, head of security. I used to have under so much pressure. I used to come down there and be like 80 bloods, literally. They'd be begging me to bring in 10 at a time. Please. Yeah, it was a great time. Young, dumb, ignorant, and having fun. Word. Definitely a great time.
Now, how easy was it to sneak, you know, weapons?
Nothing. You had to be that. They were searching your socks. They was making you take your shoes off, everything. If you wasn't about nothing, you wasn't getting in with nothing. It wasn't touching me. I walked in there with a box of Dutch Masters, hammer under the Dutch Masters. You heard? 100 razors. You dig? Then he was going to the store to get 100 razors for they walking that shit. That shit was a battleground too. Nasty. You had to be. I remember going in there and God bless the homie Nut backed out 2 guns on us. Word. 2 of them. Boop, boop. That's up. Ever since then, I knew that we was in a different game, and we had to be, word, show me some shit. I had the Tupac vest on Versace shit, bald-headed. Shout out to Brooklyn. He put this shit up like, man, y'all all right, bro? Y'all don't know who I am? Cause we trying to ask, hey, bro, a question and shit like that. Word up. Shout out to Deuce too. He home, saved my life that night in the tunnel. Word. He had two hammers on him too. I'm in there like, oh, shit is like the Western. Like, everybody got 2 guns on them? Oh, I bet. You heard bet. We know what we gotta do next week because everybody got 2 guns on them. Like, what's going on? Word. So this type of shit going on in the tunnel. And keep in mind, you got models in there, you got rappers in there, you got bad bitches in there, you got gangbangers in there, you got every specimen of you is in there. Crazy. I'm talking about real models, GQ models, the 6 foot, like, or see Mike Tyson walk through that shit, separate the whole club. silk shirt, nothing but ice on. Nobody looked at him twice. Nobody even touched his silk shirt. I'm looking at my man James like, yo, nobody touching this. That shit is just party. He's just walking through it. I'm like, oh, Mike. Word, you got me thinking about the tunnel. That's a good question. I like that question. Tunnel was a fun time for me.
Everybody asked me what's the tunnel. The tunnel was a nightclub that was owned in the 90s here by Peter Gation. In 94, Stress Entertainment started a party called Mecca. In 96, Franchise Entertainment took it over and they had it until it closed. All the biggest names in hip hop perform here, from Jay-Z, Meth and Red, Dr. Dre, Snoop, Nas, Puff Daddy and the Family, Eve, you name it, they was all here. If you had heart, you came here. But everybody didn't have heart. So it's time for y'all to enter the club most people feared to enter, the tunnel.
The tunnel wasn't a unique hip hop club, and its foundations were based on the concept of bringing hip hop from all the boroughs to one location. And it was the brainchild of Peter Gation.
Tunnel was a hip-hop nucleus. It was the epicenter. It was the domain, the temple.
It was the Mecca.
It was like the hip-hop Woodstock.
Nothing was that melting pot of hip-hop.
They kept the paradigm going.
It's almost like what Rucker did for like street basketball. The tunnel was that of music industry.
Hip-hop had a heart. That shit was one of the main arteries.
It was actually a Mecca. That's what the original name of the party was, Mecca.
It was like a time machine. That's how the tunnel was. You came out a whole different individual.
We went in there, young men with attitudes, and came out there wiser men with our lives.
It was definitely a starting, beginning spot for artists to come and mingle and branch out and get your record heard and get your shit together, really, to go into the next phase of your career.
The tunnel was not open or did not open. A lot of new artists, or a lot of artists that we know now to this very day will have never been known.
All these artists out today need to be happy that the tunnel was fucking open. Nobody would hear none of y'all singing tight pants niggas right now.
Official.
What the tunnel did for artists, it helped brand them become who they are.
The tunnel rebirthed the life of these people, shaped and molded them to become who they are today.
That gave us a platform, set up Rough Riders, Rockefeller, Bad Boy, slew of other artists.
You may have everybody throughout the city say, oh yeah, that's the tunnel. But if you go out of New York and you go somewhere across the country or across overseas, oh, you was at the tunnel? That's how much an impact that club had.
The tunnel for artists like Jay and Diddy and Capone and Noriega and Nas, it was an outlet to their music, to the streets.
It gave a lot of artists notoriety, I would say.
All they favor was brung to the street like that.
Put them on the map.
It brought them to an enormous height, which they wouldn't have got any other club.
If you wanted to get New York behind you, you knew that you had to come to that tunnel.
Everybody about to go get on this line. We about to go up in the tunnel.
Your name is?
Liz.
Where you from?
I'm Dominican and Cuban.
What borough you represent?
Uptown, Harlem World.
Oh shit, Harlem World today.
So I remember getting out the car and, you know what I'm saying, walking down the long alley, like, man, hold up, cuz, where we going? Like, this ain't no club, you know what I'm saying?
Usually, first 500 women are free, and when I got to work, the line was down the block, and sometimes people were standing on cars and already rioting, wanting to get in for free.
But once you got to that gate and it was strapped off, you had ID, you was good to come in. If you didn't have that ID, you had to grease somebody to get through that gate.
My man used to be at the top of the block up there. Used to be charging cats $10 just to get on the line, and they used to pay it.
If you ain't know the homie that was running it, or they ain't know you, somebody ain't know you, big top flight security and all the Diesel brothers and eyes that was out there, then more than likely, 9 times out of 10, you was getting played.
By the time you get, in the club, you might be down 100 already.
I don't know, just to get in, it seemed like you had to be thorough. Make sure you cut that line, get to the front.
Me and Jim used to always run up to the front of the door and just D-ball our way through.
Fuck a line, fuck 11th Avenue with the bike racks and nothing. We came down 28th Street, around the back to the West Side Highway, right in it.
Paul, you, over here, nigga.
The guys lined up along 27th Street, and the guys' line was always the longest line, and it was like hours before they got to the front door, and the ladies lined up along the West Side Highway.
So if you came with your boys and you came with girls, it's no telling everybody got in or not. You know what I'm saying? And remember back then, everybody ain't had cell phones.
We outside the tunnel, and we about to go inside in like 5 seconds, you know what I'm saying?
You started from 11th Avenue.
That was a security check.
ID, please. Then you had to get online.
The gates was actually the first ID check.
ID.
Got down to the middle of the block, was another security check.
And then you had to get to the door.
Was another ID check.
ID.
And then you had to get to the stairs.
ID.
It was various channels to get into the door.
And you'd have to walk upstairs into the club and be searched.
At one point, it was all one search area, male and females in one area. And eventually they decided, well, let's just cut that up and put the girls in one side and the guys in another.
So all sorts of stuff coming up through that search area, man. Guns, knives, dope, coke.
Motherfucking bouncers used to be trying to find any and everything. Not to include everything they were trying to put in their pocket on the side. You know, them type of niggas that go search you, find 20, you know what I'm saying, find something dirty, tell you, yo, my nigga, you gotta fix me up. And let you go in with it regardless. You feel me? You know how that go. You can always pay for the tunnel security.